Hi guys, you welcome back to my channel. Today we want to take a look at UI post-UTME past corrections. This comes as a result of request for one of our subscribers. So guys, it's been a while I deposit a video on my YouTube channel, TikTok, as well as Facebook. So if you come across this video, do well to like, share among your colleagues. And not wanting the science students out there who picked or who are aspirants of any universities that are sitting for post-UTME. This video is for you. Is that clear now? So come closer. Let's take a look at how you can easily get your answer in few seconds. Come closer. So potassium ethanoate is formed when dash. The first option is methanoic acid reacts with potassium hydroxide. B. Ethanoic acid reacts with potassium hydroxide. Take note of it. The first option was methanoic. The second one was ethanoic. Now, the third one, C. Methanol. The family of hydroxy. Methanol reacts with potassium carbonate. And the last one is ethanol reacts with ethanoic acid. Now, how do we solve this kind of question? Not one thing, potassium ethanoate is this, and here is the structural formula of, or the molecular formula of potassium ethanoate. The first thing you need to know is that when we are talking about this potassium ethanoate, let's look at it as a science student. How do you deduce this? Potassium ethanoate can easily be referred as potassium acetate. And when we talk about this kind of reaction, we call it acid-base neutralization reaction, because the acetic acid reacts with potassium containing base. I repeat, because the acetic acid, this is acetic acid. Acetic acid, we have CH3, we have this. This is a what? Our acetic acid, which you can also call it ethanoic acid. Now, this acetic acid can easily react with potassium containing base. That is why I mentioned earlier that when we are talking about this kind of question, you need to understand the concept of alkanoic, which we also call the carboxylic acid. I want to talk about this carboxylic acid. They are majorly, they contain, this is their functional group. Is that clear now? So don't forget, in case they ask you, and if the question did not come in this dimension, and they ask you that potassium ethanoate are dash, not one thing, potassium ethanoate are base. The potassium there, this ethanoate here, can be classified as a base, but not one thing, the base there comes with this potassium. That is why I said potassium containing base. And the two bases you can easily use when we come across this kind of question is potassium hydroxide and potassium carbonate. And here, that is the base, while the acid is the acetic acid. So we have potassium hydroxide and potassium carbonate. So now, how do we know our answer? The first thing you need to know is that you need to know how to write the molecular formula of this, the molecular formula of this, the molecular formula of this, and the molecular formula of this. So let's take a look at that. The first one here, we have methanoic, we have this. The second one is ethanoic, we have this. The third one is methanol, we have this. Yes, the alcohol. The last one is we have ethanol. So now, among all this, if this is reacting with a base plus a base plus a base plus a base, how do we have potassium ethanoate? So let's pick that base to be KOH, potassium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. Now, like this, in case they ask you as a post-UTME student that when metanoic reacts with this, what are you going to have? Now I'm going to explain it using the ethanoic plus the base. So guys, we have CH3COOH. We call this one ethanoic, and we can as well call it acetic acid. Please take note, plus potassium hydroxide. So don't forget, I told you guys that we call them the acid-base neutralization reaction. So now, looking at this OH here, is going to react with this hydrogen here. So we have a cleavage here. So by removing this hydrogen here, it shows that we are saying OH plus this used to give us what? Water. So you can easily see that we have found our water in this. Now, the potassium will replace the hydrogen, which is what? Being removed or being added with what? The OH now. So I can say that I have CH3COO, the potassium. The reaction continue plus OH. So now, this is called, the first element is about, we have potassium, and this, we call it ethanoate. So guys, or we call it potassium acetate. Not one thing, as I've said earlier, that the question states that potassium ethanoate is formed when ethanoic acid reacts with potassium hydroxide. B is our answer. Please take notes. B is our answer. The answer is B, but in another dimension at which it can come across the equation in another dimension. So they can easily say that potassium ethanoate is formed when ethanoic acid reacts with potassium hydroxide to form what again? Don't forget that when we have the ethanoic, which is the acetic acid, reacting with potassium hydroxide, at the product side we deduce potassium ethanoate and water. So they can ask you that when potassium ethanoate and water is formed from where? Or potassium ethanoate and water is formed from where? It's formed from the combination, or when ethanoic or acetic acid react with potassium hydroxide. Take note, they might not use ethanoic acid, rather they will play with acetic acid. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share among your colleagues. Thanks.